how they say a couple of places in the Bible that the Lord and his angels, they sing to us at night when we're asleep? Like they, give us a little lullaby in our subconscious and we don't even realize it. So sometimes we wake up with these songs in our heart. I remember it was a while back. I woke up and I had a song in my heart, old school song from Fred Hammond. And it was funny because no weapon formed against us shall prosper. It won't work. That was the song. And it was in my heart. And when I woke up, I encountered some things in that day that I approached differently because that song was in my heart. But this morning, I woke up with a different song in my heart. Okay? This morning, I woke up to a Spice Girls song. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'm gonna be honest. It feels prophetic to me. Yeah. Listen. What I really, really want. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. God made all the songs, did he not? I feel like, well, he probably, There's some songs I know God didn't make, like Tip Drill, like, oop, that's a different life, a different person. Focus. I just feel like, I don't think it's an automatic that God can't use secular music to also speak to you. I feel like I'm tiptoeing in an area I don't want to go. What I'm saying is, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. Feels like an urging from the Lord, because if your heart is right, if your desires are in the right place, if you are aligned and in tune with what God has for you, I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. I'm gonna stop here, okay, and just get to the point of today's video. But first, let me introduce myself. Hey y'all, my name is Shannon Ray. If you are new here, I want to offer you my sincerest salutations. We come together each week and we discuss life, love, the pursuit of purpose, never the pursuit of perfection, and we do that from a Christian lens. If you're into that sort of thing, into truly becoming a community, into truly being the best version of yourself possible, then I would highly suggest you hit that like and subscribe button. Be sure to turn on the notifications. The algorithm is clearly not checking for your girl, okay? No matter how much work you put in, it still decides to bury you. Oh, but what they didn't know is that the girl was planted. The other night, I had the most amazing dinner. As the night is going on, we start getting a little bit deeper into our conversations, something that you can only do in the right room, and so I love that. And because I do want to protect and honor some of the trust and the boundaries that were built in that exchange, I won't share too much about the story, but what it left me with was understanding and sensing a frustration within one of my amazing colleagues regarding her relationship with God. She had said something that stuck out to me so much. It resonated with me so much because I have absolutely been there. She kept saying, I've done this, I've got the house, I've got the car, I have all of these degrees, I have been volunteering, I've been doing everything that God has told me to do, yet there is one space, one place that he just hasn't answered the question for me yet. How do you ask? How do you go to God and say, why won't you answer my prayer? So that's what I want to touch on today. Why God isn't answering your prayer. I think we all know on some level that the answer to any question is yes, no, not yet, or not this way. Sometimes we forget that that same logic can also be applied to our prayers to God. One of the beautiful things about walking with God is that because of his wisdom and sovereignty, you're able to not only understand his nature through the things that are hard, his nature through the things that are a no, but also your own humanity and the beauty of the way God sees you. Sometimes the no is because you deserve more. Sometimes the no is because a yes would be too dangerous. There have been many yeses in my life. There have been even more what feels like not right now. And there have been an occasional not this way. One place I know for sure that you won't find your prayers answered is if you are coming from a place of an incorrect heart posture. You are looking for God to answer your prayers because you've done what he asked you to do. You've checked things off your list. You've gotten your degree. You've gotten the great job. You moved into your house. You've got the car. And now you're ready for something or someone to come in and fill the picture that you have in your mind. God, you told me to move to this city. Well, I'm ready for my person now. You told me to leave that job. I expected there to be provision. If you're only moving and doing what God has asked you to do with the intention of having God answer your prayer, that genie in a bottle syndrome, I can guarantee you are not in the correct heart posture to receive the very things that you're praying for. Being in the correct heart posture means whatever you have for me, God, is going to be good. Many years ago, I got laid off from a job on a random Tuesday. And I just knew that God was going to bless me with a new job soon. I was someone who didn't have a problem landing a job. I was someone who interviewed really well. So I assumed that I was going to be completely and totally fine. And I was right. But it was also 11 months before I found another job. In that time, I grew anxious. In that time, I grew upset. In that time, I grew frustrated until I finally reached the point where I started thinking about what I would actually want to do next. What kind of career do I want? Where do I want to step into? What do I want to learn? What do I want to grow into being? What kind of career do I actually want to have? Because up until then, I was just taking jobs that would support the life I wanted to live, instead of taking jobs that furthered the purpose I have in the earth. I needed 11 months to change my thinking. And the moment that I did, when I stepped into that new career, I began a journey that took me up and up and up, further than I expected, and in some ways further than I even dared to want to go back then. He needed the time with me. So I was saying the prayers every day. I was asking for the job, but the answer was not yet, because there was still work to be done. I was applying to jobs. I was even going on interviews, but I was not getting that call back. God, I'm doing everything that you told me to do, and yet you're not meeting me where I need you to. Except, was I? I didn't ask God, what job should I apply for? I didn't ask God, what industry should I be in? I didn't talk to God about whether or not I should go back to school for that thing that's been sitting in the back of my mind that really was God trying to place his desires upon my heart rather than me being led by my own ambition. There comes a time where you have to check your heart. Are you doing this because you're serving God, or are you doing this because you want God to serve you? So this next one might hurt just a little bit. Maybe the reason why God isn't answering your prayer is because you haven't learned your lesson yet. I'm trying to think about the most delicate way to say this without offending anyone, but the truth is, it's my life, it's my experience, and it's not meant to be offensive, it's meant to be honest. When I left my marriage and I started tiptoeing into the dating world again, I was so focused, concentrated on having different experiences. I wanted to make sure that I was growing and I was healing and I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do so that I could choose better next time. What I didn't realize was that although I was focused on choosing better, a guy who showed me that he liked me more, a guy that was more consistent, a guy that seemed more trustworthy, a guy that appeared to be a better match on paper, thinking that if I just checked these boxes, that I would end up in a better situation that I was in before. And occasionally when I would find a better guy my eyes would land on a better guy or a better situation or a better experience, those wouldn't work out either. And I started to ask God, why is it that I'm still not having great dating experiences? Why isn't that I'm still not moving into the type of relationships that I'm interested in? And I didn't walk away from these places feeling hurt and heartbroken, and so that felt like a win, but I was still not finding the type of people that I was really looking for. And I realized it was because I was still settling. God refuses to let me settle, because if I do, I will not fulfill what he has for me, because I have come into agreement with the purpose that he has for me, and I am trusting him to order my steps, to choose for me, to bring what he needs me to have instead of me going out and getting what I want. Then that puts me in a position where I'm going to face more rejection. There are going to be obstacles. There are going to be things that I don't expect, and things that I really want aren't necessarily going to work out. He couldn't say yes to him. He couldn't answer that prayer because I was still settling. I needed to learn my lesson. You are too big to have men try to squeeze you into their life. You need somebody who's going to make room. You are too important to think that you can put what I have for you on the back burner in order to support their dreams. You need somebody who's going to partner with you. Darling, you can't have that job in that place because I need you to minister to the people on that job. I can't let you go yet. You can't move there yet. I needed to learn that if I was going to continue to settle, then I was going to continue to be in this cyclical pattern of not understanding why God wasn't meeting me in that particular prayer. He was waiting for me to change direction. He was waiting for me to see, you haven't learned your lesson yet. You can't pray for this until you start understanding that you're thinking too small. I'm not going to sit here and answer this small prayer. We've done this before, and you saw how that worked. What it's time for you to do now is to step up into the life that I told you you were worthy of. Step up to meet the dreams that I have for you because you are capable of making them come true. Everything you want is at the tip of your fingers, but you're still focused on the small things. Could it be that he's not answering your prayers to save your marriage because that woman has not grown to meet you? Could it be that he's not answering your prayers to take that promotion because he's got something bigger for you? Could it be that he's not answering your prayers to work with this particular publisher because God wants you to be under a different house, under different management? Could it be that God is not answering your prayers to have this happen because if he does, then that person gets the glory instead of God getting the glory? Learn what the lesson is. Understand what the flow of your life really is. Are you even praying for the right things? Are you thinking too small? We are so close. I can practically smell the mistletoe and the apple cinnamon, the hot cider. We are almost at Christmas. And Christmas means a lot to me. I get it. It's like, oh, it's commercialized. Oh, it's not even really Jesus' birthday. And that's fine. For me, it's still an additional celebration of the fact that Jesus is here and I walk with him and I love him and I'm serious about that. But it's also a place of a lot of reflection and a lot of dealing with oneself. I don't necessarily do resolutions, but there are goals that I have for each year. So fourth quarter is always incredibly important to me. Last year, I wanted to fill my life with love. I wanted to love my life, understanding that that meant loving even the pieces that don't look the way that I want them to. And as I was sitting at that dinner, as I was looking around that room, as I was thinking about the kind of questions that were being asked of me, the kind of things I was able to connect for them, the kind of things that I'm able to do in my spare time away from work, the kind of things that I have the experience of enjoying. I got to talk to Sarah Jakes Roberts. Like, what kind of life is that? We did a podcast together. You can check it out here. I had the opportunity to do things that I just didn't know if they would happen or not, but I at least wanted to try. That was my goal for the year, was to expand my life to new opportunities that I didn't see coming. Knowing that and sitting in that, I had to realize that there are some times where we pray these prayers that have already happened. God has already answered our prayer and we just can't see it because it's not packaged the way we thought it was. Maybe you said to yourself that you wanted to be in a place where you could experience more community. And that meant that you actually developed a community. It wasn't what you expected. Maybe you were looking for a new church or a new organization to join, but you became the church. You became the thing, the movement to join. Maybe you said that you wanted to experience a deeper love than you've ever come across in your entire life. And what you did was learn to love yourself in a way that you never knew possible, to take pleasure and enjoyment in just being who you truly are. Sometimes God answers our prayers without us even realizing it, because we're going on and we're having these experiences in life that don't feel like they're connected, but they are. All of it matters. All of it is important. On September 21st, 2022, I sat down with Sarah Jakes Roberts to host a podcast of hers called Woman Evolve, where we talked about access to the life that you want to live without any preconceived notions about what you deserve or what you're worthy of or what you're capable of. That is purposeful. That episode could have come out on any day, at any time, but God chose that day years later to show me that that was not my beginning. This is. Sometimes God has already answered the prayers that just don't look like what you expect them to. Be open to the journey. Be open to the possibility. Don't try to put God into a box about what and how he can answer a prayer for you. Sit back and marvel at the way he designs something specific and intentional for your life. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If God's not answering your prayers, it might be no. It might be not yet. It might be yes. And it might not be the way that you expect it to. One thing I can tell you for sure is that it's always going to be good. It is always going to be good. It is always going to be good. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's talk about this. Let's keep this going. Let's build this community.